no offense to you whatsoever, but like another documentary, like, you know, like how many smacks in the face do people need to see the truth, right? It's right in front of us every day, and sure as hell is every ski season, right? It's getting less and less snow. It was a really, really special place.
It was a real family ski area. None of the trails there were incredibly steep or super challenging. There were some fun little chutes and dips and drops.
A lot of good memories, a lot of good people. It was fun.
I got to ski in the morning there, and they just got in a foot of snow. So it was beautiful, fresh snow. The mountain was absolutely gorgeous. It was a beautiful blue sky day. I didn't expect that day that it would close.
Founded in 1936 by the Springfield Ski Club, Ski Blandford was one of the oldest operating ski areas in North America, prior to its closure in February of 2020. It's the latest in a series of ski areas to fall victim to climate change.
We're going for a tour. This could be borderline trespassing considering everything is closed at this point. Oh, and you can even see there's still a rail up there. So the terrain park stuff was over here, and I just like skied park laps with my friends.
Peyton O'Connor is a local doctor and freestyle skier who grew up skiing at Blandford in western Massachusetts.
They had consistent natural snowfall. I was young enough not to really even grasp the idea of like snowmaking or anything like that as a little kid. So I was just like, oh, like there's plenty of snow. It's always good to go. As I got older, it was totally obvious that things were slowing down.
Blandford had some very bad snow years, lack of natural snow that kind of led to its closing.
Jeremy Davis is a meteorologist and ski historian who travels across New England documenting lost ski areas.
A bad snow year can be pretty terrible. And this year, a lot of places are looking at only receiving about half or maybe 2/3 of their annual snowfall. So that's huge.
I remember writing lots of snow on my Christmas list, through elementary school. And then when it would snow right around Christmas time, I'd be like, oh, wow, Santa heard me. So it would snow back in the day. Thank you, Santa Claus. Maybe I should just believe in Santa again, and then it'll come back.
In the 5 seasons leading up to the closure of Ski Blandford, snowfall fell from 46 inches in the winter of 2014-2015 to 7 in their final season.
This place is rad. I don't want to see it get developed. If I could, I'd buy this place. I literally would live in the lodge and turn it into a nice little commune with my friends. And then on the rare day, we won't even blow snow. On the rare days we got a little bit of snow, we'd have everybody up here. It'd be so fun.
A 2021 climate survey conducted by the University of Vermont estimates that if temperatures continue to rise at current rates, New England will see half its ski resorts close by the year 2050. And by 2100, there could be none left at all. Some parts of the region have even less time.
I would not invest in southern New England ski resorts right now.
It's predicted that ski areas in southern New England have less than 20 years until they're no longer viable.
I tend to think that these models are doing a pretty good job and give a good accounting of what would happen given their resolution.
As temperatures steadily creep up in the northeastern United States, ski areas face a trifecta of threats. In addition to less natural snowfall, Warmer winters also mean faster snowmelt and fewer days with the necessary conditions to create artificial snow.
The place I'm skiing now, just a little Otis Ridge, is even less vertical feet than this.
And in southern New England, there's one more variable that gives them even less time: elevation.
Elevation is a big risk factor for melting snow. The lower in elevation you are, the less snow you're likely to have accumulate. And those southern New England resorts are lower elevation resorts. And so it's entirely consistent with warming that those would be more at risk, being both lower in latitude, i.e. closer to the equator, and also lower in elevation.
If your lift is, starts at one elevation and you're only getting reliable snowpack near the top of your mountain, that'll be tricky to get skiers from the top of the mountain back down to the bottom.
But ski areas at higher elevations are not in the clear.
Going outside! Having a good day of skiing? All right, it's good to see some snow on the ground.
Being farther north may offer some protection in the short run, but elevation alone is not enough to insulate them from climate change.
I've been to Hollywood, I've been to Mount Snow, I've ridden down the bridge and ripped for two.
I think that within a generation, I'm going to see some big changes for my kids. What they expect to see in a winter will be very different, and I'll be telling tales of winter 2012, which at the time, was one of the warmest winters we'd ever had. But I think in the future, we're going to look back on a winter like that and be like, wow, at least we had snow.
A loss of skiing in New England would be pretty tragic, to the extent that skiing is identified with New England and we lose a part of our identity.
I am addicted to skiing. So as soon as they go and pull the plug on skiing, heartbreak. I can't imagine it. I don't want to, but I see it as a reality. I don't see how it's sustainable for us to keep getting less and less snow and still expecting to ski.
Looking at different emission scenarios and how the climate responds in the Northeastern United States. One scenario in which we reduce fossil fuel emissions, we reduce carbon emissions, and in doing so, we slow the rate of growth of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere, and it stabilizes by 2100, the end of the century. And if we do that, we can preserve up to 50% more winter than if we don't act and we don't do anything to reduce emissions.
To achieve a lower emission scenario, we need to take action to reduce our carbon footprint, such as conserving resources, eliminating waste, and opting for renewable energy, like geothermal, solar, and wind.
So if we go with a high emission scenario, we're stuck with just a month of what we would call deep snow cover.
What do you think the biggest challenge facing the ski industry is?
I would say the warming of the winter, shorter winters, warmer temperatures, less natural snowfall. That's across the board, and we've seen that pattern for the past 10 years. Today, this is mid-March here, and the high is expected to be 70 degrees here in the Berkshires. You can see some of our lifties over there. They're wearing t-shirts today. That's how warm it is.
In the Berkshire Mountains of Massachusetts, one resort has taken action to beat the heat.
What's exciting and different about Berkshire East is that we are 100% powered by on-site renewable energy. We produce 100% of our energy needs on-site. We have a 900 kilowatt wind turbine and a 500 kilowatt solar array. So combined, that's 1.4 megawatts of energy. That is enough to produce, to put that in perspective, enough to produce enough power for approximately 600 to 800 average houses. And we are the only resort in the world to produce 100% of our power on site. We have set the bar, we've set the standard, we want everyone to take notice, and we want everyone to do it themselves.
Renewable energy is also a big cost saver. The team behind Berkshire East has reinvested the money they've saved to date into upgrading their snowmaking.
We've been producing snow all winter long when we had the conditions to do that. And right here where we're standing, I just want to point out the base that we have. I'll just take a step down so you can see. So this is a good, probably 24 to 30 inches tall. So this is all that nice, tightly compressed man-made snow that I was talking about, the pellets that we produce from the snowmaking equipment. So all this gets compressed really hard and it lasts a long time. It lasts much longer than natural snow would. Natural snow would have melted by now.
Ski areas in the Northeast rely heavily on making snow to supplement what naturally falls from the sky. Costs range from $70 to upwards of $2,000 to cover an acre with a foot of snow.
So we have 100% coverage on all of our trails at this point, which is pretty rare in the ski industry.
To make snow, you need some good conditions. Ideally, you want to have temperatures, kind of in the low to mid 20s or colder. You also have to have it be dry out there as well. The resorts, sometimes they need to make snow in more marginal conditions, but they want to try to strive for these really good, temperatures. But those are happening later and later in the season to get those first really cold nights. And then you also want to make sure you're not going to have a big thaw right after it either. You don't want to make all that snow and then it's going to be raining and 55 for 5 days.
At a certain point, it doesn't matter anymore what temperature you can make the snow at. You need it to stay on the ground. And when you have 50, 60 degree days in the middle of winter, it becomes increasingly challenging to do that.
Their being sustainable in absence of anyone else being sustainable doesn't diminish their risk from warming temperatures.
And when there's not enough snow to keep the lifts spinning, it's going to be more than just skiers feeling the heat.
Berkshire East is the largest employer in this area. This is one of the major attractions, and we help to bring in a lot of dollars.
The ski industry is worth over $1.8 billion in New England. If it's lost, the region stands to lose even more, as winter tourism dollars melt away with it.
In wintertime, it's responsible for almost 50% of the visitor spending is coming from the ski industry.
We do draw tourists from all over who do spend money locally in businesses, restaurants, gas stations, everything across the board.
And when we have those low winters with little snow, it's too warm, we also see a loss of employment at the restaurants and a decrease in employment at the hotels because they're simply not able to have as many visitors.
Even at the highest elevations in the region, rising temperatures are taking a toll.
A report just came out on top of Mount Washington that those environments, average monthly temperatures are increasing. We have more and more rain events. I can't remember we had maybe 1 or 2 storms this year that wasn't having some sort of liquid precipitation along with it. That was not common, even in my short lifetime growing up.
Jordan Cargill is a mountain guide. He brings people backcountry skiing and ice climbing on iconic New England peaks, such as Mount Washington and Katahdin.
The routes are getting more dangerous and less reliable. There's more and more variables, less dependability, less reliability, so you have to be really nimble in choosing where you go, and you can't rely on traditional safety tactics. I have zero doubt that very much in my lifetime, most likely like mid-career for me, most of what I'm doing right now won't be tenable. The last few years, I can remember these 80 degree and like 24-hour temperature swings. I was up at Katahdin in Maine. I went to sleep and it was 15 below, and next day when I skied back to my car, it was 56 and raining. That's crazy.
Over the past century, temperatures in New England have risen approximately 40% more than the national average, and it's winter that's heating up the fastest.
From the skiing perspective, that's our canary in the coal mine. It's not necessarily a glacier, but if you measure a ski season year after year, it's just shrinking. Our options are shrinking, our time frame is shrinking, our reliable periods are shrinking.
The way we think about uncertainty in what's going to happen with climate change, we kind of decompose it into 3 factors generally. One factor is like, well, what is the response of our climate system to increasing greenhouse gases in our atmosphere? That's one source of uncertainty. We call that like structural uncertainty or response uncertainty. Then there's the uncertainty that's attributable to variation in climate, right? Like 3 minutes ago, it was 5 degrees warmer where we're sitting because we had sunlight pouring over us, right? And the last uncertainty is us. Last uncertainty is called scenario uncertainty, and it's what people do.
I think there's this misinterpretation that it's just going to get warmer and it's going to be a little hotter and like you're going to have to deal with that and it's not going to be the end of the world. It's like, no, there's going to be more frequent storms, more damage, more displaced people.
Aside from skiing, New England faces major implications from rising temperatures, including increased flooding in periods of drought, enhanced risk of insect-borne diseases, and the loss of classic products such as maple syrup, apples, and lobster.
I think we are up against some enormous challenges, but being stuck in this inability to act position isn't helping. I'd say that optimism and just putting one foot in front of the other is really the only true path forward.
Is it possible that there won't be any skiing in northern New England by the end of century? Sure. Is it possible that there will also be ski resorts, that are represent, a secure form of recreation in the future? Yeah, sure. I think both of those are possible, and I think the largest determinant of which one of those two outcomes we have in the future happens to be us. I actually think it's incredibly empowering to realize that we have the most agency in how bad the global warming problem gets.
My favorite thing about skiing in New England is the narrow, steep trails that cut through the woods.
Skiing through the trees.
Our local ski hills like Whaleback and the Dartmouth Skiway.
There's a lot of history here, there's a lot of heritage here.
I'd say the people, just scrappy New England skiers.
Ski if you can, East Coast, hardcore. That's what we're proud of. We're not proud that we're losing all the snow, but you betcha that the New England ski scene will be going till the last flake.